Tonight, Mark Carney is not ruling out Canadian troops on the ground in Ukraine.
Canada is under no illusions about the importance of your struggle.
The Prime Minister in Kyiv, a show of solidarity, a promise of support, and a sign of what could happen next.
What actually do you think the chances are of a ceasefire?
Pushback as Donald Trump threatens to put more National Guard troops on the streets of more U.S. cities.
He seems to enjoy living in this blissful ignorance.
And from across the country and around the world, Oasis fans descend on Toronto.
I'm just so excited. I've been waiting my whole life for it.
The Gallagher brothers make their Canadian comeback.
From CBC News, this is The National with Ian Henemansing.
In his first visit to Ukraine as Prime Minister, Mark Carney came with more details on the billions his government will provide to Kyiv in military aid and defense cooperation, and with the suggestion Canada may go even further. Invited as a special guest for Ukraine's Independence Day, Carney's visit was steeped in symbolism as he signaled that Canada could put boots on the ground in Ukraine to help protect it from attacks should there ever be a ceasefire. Briar Stewart is in Kyiv for us tonight under the shadow of war and where both the Prime Minister and Canada's support were welcomed.
In historic Sofia Square, in front of a crowd of military officers and other officials,
Прем'єр-міністр Канади Марк Карні.
a symbolic visit to Kyiv.
Canada is under no illusions about the importance of your struggle.
The Prime Minister met with Ukraine's president as the country commemorated Independence Day, a national holiday that's become even more significant throughout Russia's full-scale invasion. Ukraine's president honored the families of some of those killed, telling a 6-year-old that his father died a hero fighting in Donetsk. The boy's great-grandmother told CBC News that the war needs to end. It's very, very painful to see so many young people wounded and killed, she said. While there were solemn commemorations, part of Carney's visit was about reaffirming Canada's financial commitment to rearm Ukraine. Of the $2 billion that was announced in June, more than half will go to purchase ammunition, armored vehicles, and drones. Canadian companies will also be working with Ukrainian manufacturers to scale up the production of drones, which are now dominating the battlefield.
Ukraine's destiny.
At a press conference, Mark Carney said that if there is a ceasefire in Ukraine, Canada would step up as part of the so-called coalition of the willing.
And I would not exclude the presence of troops.
But the prospects for a quick truce appear dim.
But I thought it was a nice picture.
U.S. President Donald Trump might have received a memento from his summit with Vladimir Putin, but Russia's leader has given little else. Given that Russia has rejected the idea of a NATO-backed security guarantee and European forces on the ground, what actually do you think the chances are of a ceasefire?
We need a cessation of hostilities. We need a ceasefire, but it's not the choice of Russia how the future sovereignty, independence, liberty of Ukraine is guaranteed.
If there is a peacekeeping mission, the U.S. has said that its troops will not take part, but a few European nations have said that they would be willing to send peacekeepers in. Russia has said that it would view NATO forces or those from Europe on the ground in Ukraine as a non-starter.
But Russia has suggested it is open to some security guarantees for Ukraine, at least in theory, Briar.
Yes, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov believes that it's the UN Security Council that should be the guarantor of Ukraine's security. Now, this was an idea that was reportedly discussed in the early days of the invasion. While countries like the US and the UK are permanent members on the Security Council, so is Russia and its key ally China, which could mean that both of those countries would be able to veto things related to Ukraine's defense.
Briar Stewart in Kyiv tonight. Let's turn now to Evan Dyer, who's in Warsaw, where the Prime Minister is expected to travel next. And Evan, this entire trip appears to be focused on trade and defense.
That's right. On Monday, Prime Minister Carney will be here in Warsaw to meet with the President and Prime Minister of Poland, a country that's become increasingly important to Canada over the last decade or so. It has one of the biggest militaries in Europe. And of course, this is also the place where Canadian forces train their Ukrainian counterparts under Operation Unifier. And Canada is hoping to deepen its trade ties to Poland with a focus on defense and aerospace. And trade and defense are also a big part of the next leg of the trip, which is in Germany. And there we're going to see Prime Minister Carney tour the TKMS submarine building plant. That's a company that is one of the contenders to build a dozen submarines for Canada. And then finally, the trip will wrap on Wednesday with a visit to the 2,000 Canadian troops who are stationed in Latvia, serving there as part of Operation Reassurance close to the Russian border.
And Evan, to what extent is this trip about shifting Canada's focus away from the United States?
It's very much about that, a pivot to Europe. And of course, you know, we've seen Donald Trump not only impose tariffs, on Canada, but also we've seen annexation talk. And so given that there are threats both to the trading relationship and to Canada's sovereignty, we see here in Europe a focus both on trading relationships and on defense relationships. And this is really very much a trip that would be different in nature, I think, if Canada were not dealing with the Trump administration at home.
Evan Dyer in Warsaw tonight. Israel continues to bombard Gaza's north as it prepares for a full-scale offensive. The houses are gone, everything is gone, my son is gone, says this father as he mourns his 9-year-old child. Israeli strikes are pounding the outskirts of Gaza City, where hundreds of thousands are unwilling or unable to evacuate and are now living in famine, according to a key UN-backed agency. Israel denies that and says Gaza City harbors Hamas and the remaining hostages taken during the group's attack on Israel nearly 2 years ago. Donald Trump is threatening to expand what he calls a crackdown on crime. The U.S. president suggesting he could deploy the National Guard to more cities like Chicago and Baltimore. Ashley Burke now on the growing tensions and what could come next.
2 weeks into their Washington deployment, National Guard troops at the center of photos, criticism, and one woman even apologizing for what Trump called them in to do.
Sorry that you're probably having...
Now, according to U.S. media reports, the Trump administration has been planning for weeks to send the National Guard next to Chicago as early as September, a move Trump previewed on Friday.
We'll go in and we'll straighten out Chicago, just like we did D.C. Chicago is very dangerous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Trump appears to be targeting cities run by Democrats, describing them as crime-infested, unlawless hellscapes to justify his plans. His administration dismissing protests, demanding they stop.
I think you hear these guys outside here screaming at us. Of course, these are a bunch of crazy protesters.
We're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old.
It's not just Chicago Trump's threatening to target next. On Sunday, he warned he could send the National Guard into Baltimore to quickly clean up crime. But the state's governor is pushing back.
Maryland's had amongst the fastest drops in violent crime of anywhere in the United States in the past 2.5 years.
In a letter, he invited Trump to join him on a public safety walk. Trump shot that down, saying he'd send in troops first, writing, "I would much prefer that he clean up this crime disaster before I go there for a walk."
He seems to enjoy living in this blissful ignorance, these tropes and these 1980 scare tactics.
I lived here for 40 years.
Outside the train station, Americans split.
Who gives him all of this unlimited power? It's scary.
I feel safer. It's like you know that someone is protecting you.
This doesn't feel like it's an uprising that needs national attention.
I do feel safe today, but I really feel we need to maintain our freedoms here in our country.
The Democrats' House leader says that Trump has no authority to send troops to Chicago.
And of course, Trump doesn't have power in places like Chicago and Baltimore as he does in the capital to take over local police.
Yeah, Ian, the Washington Post says the Pentagon has spent weeks mapping out plans to target Chicago's crime, homelessness, and undocumented immigration. And if the operation's approved, it could be similar to when Trump deployed National Guard troops to L.A. over protests about immigration raids. Chicago's mayor says that he's taking Trump's threat seriously, but is warning that his city will take legal action if the president goes ahead and sends troops in.
Ashley Burke in Washington. More people have been ordered out of their homes tonight in Nova Scotia's Annapolis County as an out-of-control fire keeps growing.
Everything in fire behavior that you don't want is happening today. So we have winds, high winds, we have no rain, we have high temperatures and low humidity.
It's not yet clear how many people are affected. The first order 10 days ago saw about 215 people leave their homes. There are now 4 active wildfires in the province. 2 are new from just yesterday. The body of a missing Norwegian hiker has been found in the wilderness in northern Manitoba. 29-year-old Stefan Schotelvik set out on foot from northern Ontario to Alaska in late July. He went missing August 14th. The RCMP says his body was located on the banks of the Fraser River in the northeast part of Manitoba. In a statement, his family says they're grieving but relieved the search is now over. A BC ostrich farm is vowing to take its fight to Canada's highest court to save its flock. The farm lost an appeal to stop a cull ordered by Canada's Food Inspection Agency after an avian flu outbreak last December. As Yasmin Renea shows us, the farm's supporters are sticking by them.
Some campsites, some RVs.
Supporters are camping out at this remote farm in the BC interior as they protest an order to cull hundreds of ostriches after an avian flu outbreak.
They see that there's a problem with these animals not getting tested and that they could be murdered and culled without verifying their health.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency ordered the cull after dozens of ostriches died in late 2024 and early 2025. 2 birds tested positive for avian flu. The agency says there are ongoing risks to human and animal health and is concerned the virus could mutate. But the farmers say the roughly 400 surviving birds are healthy and should be tested, as they could provide valuable insight into fighting avian flu.
It's been an ache watching our future and possibly the future of health breakthroughs hang in the balance. The ostriches have been resilient for 222 days.
Thursday, the Federal Court of Appeal rejected the farmers' attempt at blocking the cull order, ruling that the CFIA has broad discretion to make these orders based on mere suspicion of infection.
They may be looking well and feeling well, but be shedding virus and transmitting it to other birds. There's no way of being sure, and right now public health authorities are deciding that we need to do something that makes us 100% sure.
The farmers are now preparing to take their case to the Supreme Court of Canada.
We're not looking to set a precedent that you can't do your job as a CFIA. What we're looking to do is try and get some reason put into the thinking around these cull orders with different species.
It's an idea supported by U.S. Secretary of Health Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in a case that has attracted global attention. The Supreme Court of Canada only hears a small number of cases that it considers to have national significance, but the farmers say they'll do whatever they can to save their birds. Yasmin Renea, CBC News, Vancouver.
It seems every summer there's one concert tour that stands out, and this year that may well be the British band Oasis. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, they're back on stage in Canada. And as Michelle Song shows us, fans are excited to see a reunion they thought might never happen.
They've been waiting more than 16 years for this. Oasis back on stage in Toronto, the first North American stop on their tour. It's the music that brought this Toronto couple together.
Our first date that we had almost 10 years ago, we were listening to Oasis tunes together.
On that day, they promised to see the band if they reunited. Not only did they see them in England earlier this summer, now they have tickets back home in Toronto.
We saw this in Wembley, like there was almost not a dry eye in the house. Like there's a lot of emotion in the room. Grown men are putting their arms around each other and crying during these songs. It's a big emotional experience.
This is a major comeback for the band that split in 2009. But now the Gallagher brothers have ended their feud, and it's being called their biggest tour yet.
It's wonderful to see, but it's almost beyond belief, really, how big a big deal it is going to be over where you guys are in North America.
Oasis sold out 2 nights at Toronto's Rogers Stadium, a venue that holds 50,000 people.
I'm just so excited. Literally been waiting my whole life for it, so yeah.
And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for this couple from the UK who chose to watch the once estranged brothers in Toronto after they couldn't get tickets back home.
You see one of the brothers performing, you know, whether it be Noel or Liam, performing out there, and like you can sense that like there's just something missing. I can't actually believe we're going to see them tonight.
After saying hello to Toronto, their only Canadian stop, they're off to the US and Mexico City before heading back home to Wembley. Michelle Song, CBC News, Toronto.
For the second time in her career, Canadian golf star Brooke Henderson has won the CPKC Women's Open here at home.
The comeback is complete for the pride of Canada.
Henderson won by just one stroke today. This is her 14th LPGA title, and she's now the first Canadian in more than a century to win the title twice. On the Fraser River here in British Columbia this year, something we haven't seen in decades, millions of salmon in the water.
I've been hearing from First Nation leadership from across the province and how absolutely happy they are.
What's driving the boom, and will it last? Next. Plus, the quest for clean energy takes to the skies.
This charger enables us to be on the map on the charging network to provide the electricity for those aircraft for their journey.
The growing field of electric aviation. And later, a proposal with some fireworks, courtesy of a volcano. Their very well-timed engagement. We're back in 2. Sockeye salmon are returning to BC's Fraser River in numbers not seen in decades. No one's quite sure why, but as Lindsay Duncombe tells us, it's giving fishers hope.
No one saw this coming. Sockeye salmon on the Fraser River, millions of them.
They all look really nice this year. It's excellent. There's still hope for the future kind of thing.
Don McDonald runs a test fishery for the Pacific Salmon Commission. It's estimated this year's sockeye cycle is expected to exceed 10 million fish.
This particular sockeye salmon run hasn't been this abundant since 1997. That's close to 3 decades ago. And the thing is, no one is exactly sure why so many fish are coming back now.
It could be recovery from a landslide several years ago. It could be a phase out of fish farms, or simply favorable ocean conditions.
Well, I've been hearing from First Nation leadership from across the province and how absolutely happy they are to be able to access food fish for their communities.
There's so much fish. The First Nation Wild Salmon Alliance is asking British Columbians to send pictures of their harvest to the Fisheries Minister to encourage the feds to invest in salmon fishing. But that's not the only message the minister is getting.
The public says, look at all those fish went up the river. And we say, we should have been harvesting half of those.
This was the first time in years commercial fisherman Mike Forrest was able to fish sockeye. But he says the government opened the fishery too late.
We need flexibility in season for in-season management of salmon.
In a statement, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans said fishing is limited because not all sockeye stocks are experiencing the same level of abundance. And the Fraser River is 1 to 3 degrees warmer than average, which could limit the ability for salmon to spawn.
We won't really know what the real return for the 2025 season is, probably until sometime in the winter.
For now, fish aren't the only abundant thing on the river. For the first time in a long time, there's hope. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, near Maple Ridge, British Columbia.
And salmon isn't the only food source in abundance this year in BC. Tree fruit farmers in the interior are seeing a major rebound after years of climate-related losses. Brady Strachan now with what growers and researchers are learning from this bumper crop.
Bursting with color and flavor, peaches ripen in the hot Okanagan sunshine.
So these are Glowhaven peach trees.
Vince Kuiper's family has been growing fruit here for 3 generations on the fertile slopes above Okanagan Lake. Just 1 year ago, an extreme winter cold snap wiped out the entire peach crop. This summer, though, his trees are groaning under a bumper harvest.
This year would be one of the best year, I would say, so far.
Across the lake in West Kelowna, customers have a wealth of options at this bustling fruit market, filling their baskets with lush local fruit that just wasn't available last year.
This year, just everything was perfect. It was mild, it wasn't extreme, and we had crops on everything.
The bountiful harvest comes after several years of extreme climate and crop losses in BC, from heat domes that wilted vegetables and tree fruits to winter cold snaps that decimated cherries and wine grapes. As a whole, BC farms haven't turned a profit since 2017. The sector has seen a larger net loss every year since 2020, reaching more than $450 million in losses last year.
It's pretty easy to want to quit when you have these couple of bad seasons in a row, and I think this season has kind of pulled everybody back together again.
But farmers and scientists know this kind of year is rare, so they are preparing for hardships to come.
This is one of the really remarkable training systems here.
Researcher Kirsten Hannum is studying ways of adapting orchards to a changing climate, including the use of retractable shutters that can close to protect trees from hail or intense sunlight.
It's incredibly important to consider climate adaptability, climate resilience in our research projects moving forward.
From research to orchard, this work helps farmers thrive, keeping shelves full of local food.
This is a great lifestyle, and if you can make it work financially, it's fantastic.
Brady Strachan, CBC News, West Kelowna, British Columbia.
There's growing excitement about how electric and hybrid aircraft could transform the way we fly.
Electric aviation is really starting with the small tasks, a short training flight, a short scenic flight.
Where the technology stands and where it could be going next. Plus, he's hit the pinnacle of success both as a celebrity chef and on the hit TV series The Bear.
Yo, shall I break this up? Yes! No! Yes!
Now he's opening up about the journey that got him here and almost cost him his life.
At 29, definitely had a heart attack, and then, figured things out and kind of got my life back in order a little bit.
My conversation with Matty Matheson. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. The countdown clock is ticking in southern Newfoundland ahead of what will be the first Canadian-made rocket launched from Canadian soil. NordSpace is the private company behind it all. The launch was originally scheduled for Monday, but high winds, largely due to the effects of Hurricane Erin, has delayed it until Wednesday. Toronto's downtown airport is now equipped with charging equipment for electric planes. Jamie Strachan went to see if this green mode of travel is taking off.
At Toronto's Billy Bishop Airport, a small electric plane takes off. The airport recently installed a charger to power the planes of the future.
This charger enables us to be on the map on the charging network to provide the electricity for those aircraft for their journey.
So far, Transport Canada has only allowed 3 electric planes to fly full-time, 1 in BC and 2 at the University of Waterloo.
Electric aviation is really starting with the small tasks, a short training flight, a short scenic flight. This is what our batteries can handle.
The small planes have a range of about 100 to 200 kilometers, and like early electric cars, much of the space on board taken up by batteries, which at this point aren't universal and have different charging requirements.
The big investment in battery technology for the automotive industry is going to be very beneficial of creating new battery technology for the aviation industry.
The hope of those working to make these planes more practical is that they will initially act as a courier service for rural communities.
It's just our geography, our country really needs aviation. There is a huge opportunity for Canada.
It's also being used to train new pilots, and down the road could help alleviate Canada's pilot shortage, says this instructor.
It's much cheaper to operate, much cheaper to maintain because of less moving parts, less replacement, all this kind of stuff. So it's cheaper for students to use.
When could fully electric or hybrid planes operate larger commuter flights?
Next will be the small regional local markets. And then a decade from now, you'll have Airbus move in and say, now we can give you a bigger machine to
lower the emissions.
Air Canada has already ordered 30 hybrid electric planes capable of carrying about 30 passengers, with plans to have them in service by 2028. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
Time now to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world.
I love gumbo, you love gumbo, we love gumbo.
Matty Matheson's path to success has been anything but typical. A New Brunswick kid who dropped out of culinary school, eventually becoming a Michelin-rated restaurant owner.
Hospitality is in me. I want to help people. I want to take care of people. I want people to feel beloved.
From kitchen to camera, Matheson expanded his roles, producing and starring in the Emmy-winning series The Bear.
We're all broken inside, and every single day we got to show up and cook and make people feel good.
I sat down with a renowned chef, business mogul, and author at his popular Toronto restaurant to find out why hospitality is so ingrained in everything Matheson does. I want to start with a trivia question. There's at least one thing, and probably at most one thing, that you and I have in common.
Right.
Do you have any idea what it is?
Good hair?
Well, that.
Yeah.
We're both from New Brunswick.
Oh.
Yeah. So I grew up in Sackville. You probably drove by many times.
I've been to Sackville many times.
Yeah,
Sappy Fest.
Yeah.
Shout out to
exactly.
Sappy Fest.
Absolutely. And so, and you are a proud son of the Maritimes,
Yeah,
but certainly
absolutely.
of New Brunswick. So let me ask you a New Brunswick food question.
Okay.
You know, I think about, like, you know, Quebec and poutine, right?
Yeah.
And Halifax and Donaires.
Yeah.
Does New Brunswick have like a comfort food / snack food that would be the signature dish?
I don't know. I honestly, for me, I'd say Roppy pie.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that.
Like Roppy pie is like, when I think of my grandparents
Yep.
living in Fredericton, I think that's definitely something.
So kind of an Acadian influence,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
We're about to make something beautiful, something that means a lot to me. This is a very traditional Acadian dish called Roppy pie.
Well, this is super New Brunswick, eh?
Yeah.
This is like New Brunswick.
I interviewed Michael Bublé last year, and he talked a lot about his grandfather.
Right.
You talk a lot about one of
Yeah.
your grandfathers as well,
Yeah.
who had the restaurant
Right.
in Prince Edward Island. There were the stools,
Yeah.
You know, that these are kind of
Well, this whole
reminiscent
bar
of.
is like kind of the canopy and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so tell me about, you call him Grampy. Tell me about
Yeah,
him.
Grampy. At the time, it was like my grandfather had a restaurant, and it was a one-bedroom apartment attached to it.
Oh.
And that's where he lived. He lived at the Blue Goose. That's why we stayed there. That's why we slept in the banquettes at night, you know. And we had to get up at like 6 a.m. because they opened, because they're on the Trans-Canada Highway. So like we'd have to, you know, go back. My parents would sleep on the pull-out couch, which was also the office for the restaurant. Like going to their house was magical. And they had this like big like yard in the back. They had like a blackberry bush. And like you go pick blackberries, and then like you go in the house, and it always smelled like roast. Like it was always like she's roasting a turkey or making pot roast, or like there was always these big meals. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I loved going to my grandparents. Like they loved it. They had like nice carpet, blue carpet. They had blue carpet in their house.
There's so much that I could ask you about. Let me ask you about the videos that you do now. Like you look at the number of views, multiple million views for a lot of them, and a style. I don't know, where did that video style come from?
I think I've been making the same video for 10 years. So it's just like, I think it's just a format of like, I'm just making stand-in stirs, you know? Like I'm like, I love like, you know, Walk with Yan and like these, like those are like perfect shows. Like Walk with Yan is an incredible thing.
Yeah.
They stand there and they cook stand-in stirs, you know?
How scripted are they?
Zero. Hello, everybody. What's up? I'm Matty Matheson.
A little dab, a little kiss, a little one for me. Then we're gonna add some butter, unsalted butter.
I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm not wearing a shirt because I literally can't find the shirt. It's like, what's the point of having one of these things? I love gumbo, you love gumbo, we love gumbo. Have you ever made a whole pot of gumbo and ate the whole thing in one sitting? By yourself, alone, sad, looking into the bowl of gumbo. By the time you get down to the bottom, it's cold, just like life. I feel like that's the right amount. These are bazooka town.
So that's the appetizer for our interview. Now we're ready for the main course here. And let me ask you about your persona. Like here you're kind of calm. We're sitting talking, you know, across the bar. But on video, you are larger than life. And at one time, we're kind of this famous party animal in Toronto. Tell me about that, Matty Matheson.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was just a young kid, you know. I liked partying. I liked having fun. I worked in, you know, restaurants, and people are there to drink and have fun. And I thought it was my job to make everyone have fun, you know. And sometimes the fun kind of dries up. And you know, yeah. I honestly, like, it is one of those things where, you know, you become this like caricature of this thing. You build up this persona and you entertain, and I've been doing that, you know, over 10 years now. And yeah, in my 40s, I'm definitely way more this than, you know, when I go in front of the camera and I make my cooking videos, you know, I can turn it on and have fun and yell and make fun of stuff. But, you know, most of the time I'm just truly somber.
Okay, let's go back to those days, though, where you embraced it in real life, but also on video, right? The hangover cure. So, so crazy.
So last night we got like wasted.
34 shots of tequila, crumbled whiskey, Guinnesses, melted into the grim.
Pitchers of beer. There's a lot of drinks. Hangover cures was like, I would take a chef, get them as drunk as possible. Then the next day they would have to make me a hangover cure.
Yeah, what a great concept.
Great concept. We made 3 videos that lasted that, it was that sustainable, you know?
Were you having fun at that stage in your life?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I was young, had a restaurant, you know, the whole world was mine, but, you know, it really wasn't. And it was just, you know, I don't know. I definitely was having fun, though. I definitely was a joy boy. Yeah.
And literally, and as I say these words, they sound overly dramatic, but I think they're true. All of that almost killed you.
Yeah. You know, at 29, definitely had a heart attack, and then, you know, figured things out and kind of got my life back in order a little bit, and then started living a different way, you know?
Okay, third course still to come. Matheson reveals why food has become such a central part of his life.
My fondest memories are, you know, my grandmother's roasted pork with mashed potatoes and gravy, and like rapi pie, and going clam digging with my grandfather in PEI.
The second part of my conversation with Matty Matheson is next. Smells in here. It was smelling like steak when we came in, and then like baked goods, and I'm not exactly sure what it is now, but yeah, lots of good smells.
Yeah, they're cooking back there.
Yeah. So the guy that, you know, envisions a restaurant like this, the guy who loves food, the guy who does these videos that are off the cuff and just unlike anything else that I've seen anyway, is also the guy who's involved in one of the most acclaimed TV shows, if we still call them TV shows, right now, The Bear. How did that happen?
Chris Dorr, he's my friend. He's the creator, director, one of the writers, and we always talked about maybe doing something together, and then like he hit me up one day and was just like, hey, you know, I think we got something here, and we want you to consult, and do you want to act in it? And I was like, and he was like, can you act? I'm like, I don't know. I was just like, we'll see, I'm down.
So let me ask you two things about that
Yeah.
role. First of all, notably, you don't play a chef
No.
in the show, you play a handyman.
Yes.
That's part of the...
That's acting. You know, that's acting. If I was a chef, you know, it'd be something else. And I didn't want to, you know, like I just want to be, you know, I'm not good at fixing stuff, you know. Being a handyman is you know, I feel like Thack isn't a good handyman to begin with actually anyways, so it kind of worked out perfect.
How I've never acted before. How
Yeah.
tough is it to act? And you're surrounded by professional actors.
It's very stressful, you know, it's very stressful. It's you got to be prepared, you know, like there's no like winging it. My whole life is like we find it in the edit. I talk in these cooking videos the entire time. So like if I'm making something that's 2 hours, I will gab and talk and make fun of stuff and whatever for 2 hours straight. And then we find the jokes in the edit. But here it's just like action. No, you deliver the line. That person next to you is doing the lines. There's no like, oh yeah, like what are we gonna do? Like it's just like, it's so intense actually. For me, because I'm like, I can't remember anything. I can remember so much. I'm so creative. I'm so, you know, you know, my brain, it's like, you know, it's like 57 cats up there just running around. And then when I get excited, I don't see anything, and then I don't remember anything, and then I'm doing a scene with Jeremy, and he's throwing boxes out of a dumpster at me, and I'm like, what are we talking about here?
The Emmy goes to the Bear!
Speaking of the Emmys, you gave an acceptance speech on behalf of the show.
Yeah.
Which was astounding.
Yeah.
I just love restaurants so much. The good, the bad, it's rough. We're all broken inside, and every single day we gotta show up and cook and make people feel good by eating something and sitting at a table, and it's really beautiful. And all of us here get to make a show together, and we get to make people feel good or filled with anxiety or triggered, seems. But this is really amazing. It's beautiful.
There was a line in there where you talked about how we're all broken inside.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, we're all broken. I'm sure you had good news and bad news this week about people you love. How do you put yourself back together every day? How do you maintain this persona? How do you work? How do you show up for yourself? How do you show up for others around you? How do you stay strong? How do you, like, it's so intense. And like restaurants are it's like a play. Every day we open for service. Every day a group of individuals have to get everything ready and then cook to the best of their abilities, no matter what's going on. You know, like that's everybody. Everyone has, if you're working at a factory or a CFO or you're doing whatever you're doing, every single person here with the cameras and lights, everyone's coming from something. And it's just like, yo, we gotta like, as a society, we gotta be there for each other. We gotta like, good or bad, like we gotta be there. We gotta be positive. We gotta like really try to like make everyone kind of come up together, you know?
You talk so much about how much you love restaurants. So
Yeah.
obviously your guy loves cooking, but you love restaurants as well. But it made me think about in my business, like I love journalism,
right?
But I also love broadcasting, and
Right.
they're intertwined, but they're different. You know.
Yeah.
And so what is it that, and you touched on it a little bit, but what is it about restaurants that you want we customers to understand?
That we're doing this for you. You know, I love restaurants. They're the best, you know, and I think it's like I grew up in a house where we were like an open door policy, and we had I have 3 siblings. We always had lots of friends over. Even though we didn't have a ton of money, there was always food for everybody. There was always like, it was a very open, welcoming home. And so at a very young age, I think hospitality is in me. I want to help people. I want to take care of people. I want people to feel beloved, you know? And restaurants is a way that I can do that. And it's just like walking into one of our restaurants is like, I want people to just feel the love. I want people to be able to escape what's out there and like have a moment in time with us and allow us to put a little bit of joy into your life from what we love doing. We love serving people. We love cooking for people. We love taking care of people.
Let me finish this by asking you about some of the other things that you clearly love. And let's start with food. And for me, it feels like as I read the things you write, that food and meals are attached to people in your life and moments in your life. So tell me about that.
it's given me everything. Food has given me everything. You know, my love of, like, my fondest memories are, you know, my grandmother's roasted pork with mashed potatoes and gravy, and like rapi pie, and going clam digging with my grandfather in PEI, and like doing lobster boils in his driveway, and eating at the Blue Goose in PEI. Like, all of my memories, as cliche as they are around food. And going to cooking school gave my love, like, I loved that. I was going to school and I liked going.
Because you didn't like going to school before, you were not a star high school student.
No, I had to like negotiate with my principal to pretty much graduate. Like, I was just like, get me out of here. You don't want me here, I don't want to be here, get me out of here.
And yet you came to college here in Toronto.
Yeah, I went to Humber, Rexdale for life.
And
you know,
discovered in learning about cooking that you were really good at it.
I loved it. It was just like a natural ability. I don't know if I was good at it, but I was like able to do it. It was relatively easy, you know, sharpening knives, making stock, listening to a chef, do what the chef says. Okay, you know, it was amazing. And yeah, I don't know. And then it was just working at Le Select, working at La Palette, working at these restaurants. I loved French food. I loved working in a space with people, so many different types of people, you know? It was so amazing. And I loved, I don't know. It's like my truest love is just restaurants. Like, it is like, if everything went away and I just had restaurants, it'd be amazing. Like, like it is like, there's nothing, I don't think that there's anything better. But it is like, food has given me every opportunity, my life, my family. I'm able to provide for my family from food, making videos and doing all the things that I do. And all the doors that it's opened.
Well, you are a one-of-a-kind guy, and things are going really well for you, and it's great to see, and it's really nice to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, there's a guy who loves what he does, and if chef, entrepreneur, author, actor, producer aren't enough, Matheson is also lead singer of a Toronto-based hardcore band called Pigpen. Their debut album was released in late June. Coming up, a marriage proposal with lava lighting.
I didn't know the volcano was erupting until people pointed at it and people were cheering.
A couple gets engaged as a volcano erupts behind them. It's our moment. You're looking at Justin Lee and Morgan Becquar standing in front of Volcan de Fuego in Guatemala just after getting engaged. The couple took a hiking trip to the famous spot for Morgan's birthday. Justin had just popped the question when suddenly the volcano erupts. Tonight, the seismic surprise makes our moment.
Morgan Alexa Becquar, will you marry me?
So we went hiking on Volcano Acatenango in Guatemala to see Volcano Fuego erupt.
I had everything kind of planned in mind, so it was kind of a timing thing. I wanted the volcano to erupt, but it wasn't erupting for like the 30-40 minutes we were there. So I said, as soon as the clouds go away and we see the volcano, let's just do it.
I had no idea he was going to propose at all. I was getting emotional, so I kind of looked off to the side, and that's when I saw the volcano erupting. I was just like, wow, there's so much going on.
I didn't know the volcano was erupting until people pointed at it and people were cheering.
We were getting bombarded with text messages and phone calls being like, wow, like what a coincidence. Like, we're so happy for you guys. It's literally perfect timing. It's a good sign.
And speaking of perfect timing, the eruptions continued and they ended up getting evacuated because it wasn't safe there anymore. So they were just in the right window to get that done. One other thing, the biggest challenge, he said, was getting the ring, sneaking the ring there through security and all that sort of stuff without his fiancée finding it. Thank you for being with us. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to the National's YouTube channel. I'm Ian Hannamansing in Vancouver. I hope you can join me weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern on CBC News Network. Good night.